Mike Gundy versus Neal Brown has arrived, which means West Virginia versus the Cowboys is a thing, but it's a thing that has kind of grown legs. It could be called the game with a coach that could be on the hot seat, but finds a way to save himself in Stillwater against the coach that's never on the hot seat, but things are getting hot in Stillwater.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at All Day O State Today. We're partially brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more, especially right now, because FanDuel is giving a $5 bet opportunity to get you $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Make sure you visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Meanwhile, we get started in the conversation of Oklahoma State versus West Virginia, but you guys hear me ramble on all the daggone time, so we have a guest today. You could call him a guest. In Big 12 country, though, you might call him the king of WV podcast country. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back onto the show, our man, who's not a myth. He doesn't have a mullet, but our dude, Justin Mother Truckin' Couz Walker. How are we feeling today, my guy?
What's up? That might be the best intro of all time, brother.
Well, I do what I can. If you had a mullet and I knew your height and weight, I could have made it a little bit spicier. But
all I needed was some glass breaking and a shirt that says Austin 316, and I'd be in business.
Well, you don't forget about the brouhahas, my guy. Right? You got to break out. You got to break out the beers while we're at it. All right. So this might be a game where both of us are drinking. One of us is drinking more heavily than the other because it's almost a de facto out of Big 12 title contention game. And the reason I kind of wanted to highlight some of this is because Neal Brown versus Mike Gundy, from a national perspective, most would assume that this is a Mike Gundy style of game. And Oklahoma State losing 3 games in a row. It hasn't happened in the Big 12 conference to begin Big 12 play in over 20 plus years. So there's a lot of things that stack up negatively for West Virginia, but Neal Brown likes to win in Stillwater.
Yeah.
Dare I say Neal Brown likes to keep his job floating with wins in Stillwater because it just happened last time you guys were here. Dude, what is it about this matchup? Because we discussed a little bit earlier, West Virginia actually has a little bit more of a favorable time going back to 1928, winning in Stillwater as opposed to winning against Oklahoma State in Morgantown. Mm-hmm. What about this game has the Neal Brown, Mike Gundy effect most concerning to you or most exciting to you?
Man, it's both concerning and exciting. Concerning because, West Virginia has not really even they're 2-2, right? Overall 1-0 in Big 12 play, but they really haven't looked good even in the games they've won, right? So the fans are a little bit nervous. The fans are a little bit pessimistic right now, not super confident in this squad. So this is a chance for Neal Brown and his team to get on the right track, give this fan base a lot more confidence going into a tough game against Iowa State at home next week. But it's also concerning because Neal Brown overall on the road, and you talked about his success in Stillwater, overall, his road record's not very good. Okay. So there's just not a whole lot of confidence in that, man. And we know Alan Bowman's been chunking that ball a lot because he has to. Or has had to. Yeah. And West Virginia's pass defense has been the weakest part of the team. So there's a little concern there. There's just, I don't know. It just, for whatever reason, as a West Virginia guy, it just does not feel like a good spot for the Mountaineers. And Gundy doesn't lose 3 games in a row very often. So that's another concern.
Well, ironically, whenever you look at some of the statistical categories, right? So I went through this a little bit earlier. I went to Big12sports.com or whatever, right? I went through 32 different statistical categories between Oklahoma State and West Virginia, and it may be surprising because you guys are in the thick of that like 4-way tie for 3rd, 4th place in the conference. We currently technically are not, but if you went off of the rankings, I think you guys are 6th and we're 13th, right, in the Big 12, quote unquote.
Right.
But if you take all of the averages of West Virginia and Oklahoma State, it comes down to 8.1 for the Cowboys and 10.1 for West Virginia. So if you went off of the metrics statistically on Big 12 sports, we should be ranked ahead of you, but we're not, right? So we do find ourselves in this very precarious situation. And as soon as you find a couple good stat lines for Oklahoma State, you find some about West Virginia that kind of nullify it.
Yep.
And then when you find something terrible about West Virginia, you look over and you have something at Oklahoma State that, once again, kind of nullifies it. Dude, this is a game. This might be the most evenly matched Big 12 game of the slate thus far. It wasn't supposed to be this way.
No.
Right? But,
no.
And that's the thing is, like, Oklahoma State fans, we expected a CFP Big 12 title run. West Virginia fans, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you guys thought you definitely had the talent, right? You had like 80-something% of your roster returning after a 9-win ball club.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know that the expectations were as high as they were in Stillwater. So we know what's been going on in Stillwater. You mentioned Alan Bowman, a.k.a. Alan Crawdaddy, back foot, throw it all over the place, Bowman. That dude, unfortunately, has seemingly regressed, or at least been the same. The offensive line, which I didn't realize this, was PFF graded one of the worst in the country last year. They scored under 53, the most in the country.
Wow.
We've scored under 53 in run blocking again this year. So we've had the worst run blocking O-line, one of the worst in the country 2 years in a row. And we cannot get right. Our offensive line goes out there with pillows instead of lunch pails, and they're not ready to go to work or go to war, which is ironic because we're talking about the coal miners, Mountaineers, coming to Stillwater. So I expressed O-line is terrible, D-line's terrible. Alan Bowman seems to be having a regression. The defense has not been very good, but they're also on the field 80% of the game. Those are the problems in Stillwater. What seems to be the problems in Morgantown, West Virginia, my guy?
The biggest problem is the pass defense. They gave up 300 passing yards to an FCS opponent in week 2. They gave up long passes in game 1 to Penn State. Pitt beat them with long passes. Just you name it. The Kansas game, they did a little better, but they basically had to go to a, sort of a, drop 7 guys, or even 8 guys at times and rush 4 type and just keep everything in front of them. Kind of let the offense dink and dunk a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a bend but don't break style defense. That's kind of what they had to go to. And it I guess you could say it worked because they won the game, but it's Kansas. No offense to Kansas, but right now they look like the second worst team in the league, probably. So yeah, we don't have a whole lot of confidence in that pass defense, man. I think they're either 14th out of 16 or 15 out of 16 teams in the conference right now, I think, in pass defense. So not been good. Now the run defense, on the other hand, has been pretty good, but the pass defense not so much. And the offense, even offensively, which we thought would be really good,
right?
It's shown spurts, shown some signs, but it's just not been consistent like we thought it would be coming into the year. Garrett Green hasn't progressed like we thought he would. We love Garrett, man. He's awesome. He can run around and make plays, but his passing percentage has not increased as much as we thought it would. He's still under 60%. So, the running game has regressed from last year a little bit. So, we're just not where we thought we would be at this point in the season.
Well, thank you for giving everybody in orange a little bit more hope. Ironically enough, though, so you're breaking in some new O-linemen. We have the most senior-laden returning lineman in America. So ours is head-scratching, right? You didn't need a lot of development from the O-line. You just needed enough. But we've got zero. We've got zilch. Now not a nothing. Before we shift gears here, speaking of giving everybody hope, how's Nico Marchiol? Like, is that still kind of the ticket?
I mean, we like Nico, but it's not his team yet. It's Garrett's team. He's the leader. He's the guy that everybody wants to run through a wall for. He's not played bad enough to lose his job,
Right. Yeah.
But he just hasn't, we thought he had a really good year last year, but his completion percentage was low. So we thought this year, okay, all he has to do is improve his completion percentage, get better on the short and intermediate throws, and he'll be an elite quarterback. Well, it hasn't happened yet. So
very fair.
That's concerning. But we're not ready to, at least I'm not ready to bench him yet. You know what I'm saying? It's not that bad.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for like a crazy sound clip that Nico's better than Garrett. Like, I love the Green story and how he's stuck there when he had ample opportunities to transfer and kind of do some things. Yeah, I love the story. Love to see Green. I just don't want to see Garrett go off in this game, particularly.
Right. No, but we every expectation is that Garrett graduates. It's going to be Nico's team. That's the expectation.
Cool.
We still love Nico, but we're not ready to give up on GG just yet.
Well, it's a good thing that you have hope and you're QB. I don't know that we do, but there's something always to be hopeful for whenever it's monetary value season. And one way or the other, the line's gone crazy. There might be the opportunity to squeeze in some money here. You know the drill. The best in the land is FanDuel. There's a reason it's America's #1 sports book. And even though the Cowboys haven't really given us a lot of reasons to get excited and hammer the over, it's okay because the NFL is here to save us. And we have several NFL Cowboys getting it done right now. This is your opportunity with the NFL to get a big return with FanDuel. If you get that tingling sensation down in your loins that something big is about to happen, you can make the most out of it by checking the latest stats, the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same exact page where you're going to place that money-making bet. You need to get started today with $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed whenever you place your first $5 bet. That is $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. All you got to do is place a $5 bet. Make sure you get started today with FanDuel.com. Again, that is FanDuel.com. Get started your money-making journey today with the best in the land. All right, buddy. Well, I would hope that most by now are very well aware of Garrett Green and C.J. Donaldson. I know that Raheem White hasn't exactly been able to kind of jump off the scene as he did last year, right? The 1,000-yard performance basically last season didn't exactly catapult onto the scene this year. Now, we know a lot about not catapulting on the scene in the running game like we're supposed to, but you still have C.J. Donaldson. Outside of C.J. Donaldson, maybe Raheem White, Garrett Green, give us some more of the Mountaineers that Cowboy Country needs to pay attention to. And don't mention Burks. The dude still gives me nightmares. But everybody else, feel free. Go ahead.
Offensive side of the ball first. Let's start with Cole Taylor, the tight end.
Okay.
Especially if Nick Martin ends up not playing in the game, maybe West Virginia can take advantage of some stuff across the middle with Cole Taylor, the tight end. That's one thing we're hopeful for, and he's kind of poised for a big year. And it really hasn't. He hasn't been involved in the offense as much as we thought he would at this point.
Okay.
Best receiver right now today is probably Hudson Clement. Maybe this is a game Jaden Bray breaks out. We don't know. So far, Jaden Bray only has 2 catches. I know Oklahoma State fans recognize that name.
Wow.
But
that's actually very surprising. I mean, I think that is indicative of the talent that West Virginia does in fact have. If he's only getting two grabs and he started basically as a freshman. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's that or if it's, maybe struggling to get comfortable in the offense, or maybe they just haven't looked his way enough. I'm not sure what it is, because all off season, all we heard was how great he is. He had an awesome off season and an awesome fall camp, but for whatever reason, it hasn't translated into a lot of catches or a lot of targets for that matter, to be honest. So a lot of that may just be him not getting the opportunities because of because of Garrett's. Garrett's already comfortable with the other guys, right? All of our receiving core, but one returned, so he already had a year under his belt with these guys, and that probably plays a role in it, I would imagine. So Hudson Clement is a name to watch out for. Rodney Gallagher is a young receiver. Traylon Ray is a young receiver. Defensive side of the ball, Josiah Trotter, a really good freshman linebacker, arguably I don't know. He's the best linebacker on the team, I think, talent-wise. First couple games of the season, you could argue he was the best defensive player on the team, but I think now defensive lineman T.J. Jackson has taken over that role. He's leading the country, or maybe he's either leading or second in the country in QB hurries with 20 already, and he's only started 2 games. So that gives you an idea of the havoc he's wreaking in the backfield. So
I'm actually glad you brought him up. I was going to ask about him, right? Because he's like 6'1", 290, kind of 280.
Came
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Came out of Troy, right?
Correct. Came out of Troy.
And
Yep.
he's number 2 in the Big 12 in sacks and number 1 in tackles for loss at 8.5 TFLs. Like, that is ridiculous.
Yep. He's pretty much in the backfield every game, almost every snap, man. He's just so quick coming off the ball that, offensive tackles have a hard time keeping up with him.
That's what it is?
Yep.
And then whenever you look at the back end, you have a Georgia Southern transfer that I've noticed is top 15 in the Big 12 in tackles as well.
Anthony Wilson.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what's his journey kind of been like, and how have y'all
seen? Yeah, he
him?
came in. He's small. He's only 5'9", so he's short for the position. But he's extremely he's a real strong young man. He's a great tackler. Last year he tackled well, but he struggled in pass coverage. He worked all season on his pass coverage, and he is doing better in that this year. To be honest, he's probably been one of the better on the team in pass coverage this year. Even at 5'9", because he's playing the position right the right way. He's in his spots. His timing's been better. But yes, it's been a remarkable story. Anthony really doesn't get enough hype, to be honest with you. He's just a consistent player. He plays good every week. He's not going to blow you away. He's not going to pop off the screen at you, but he's just going to be solid. He's going to get you 7, 8 tackles a game, maybe more. He's going to get you maybe one pass deflection a game. And you never hear anything about him, but he's out there almost every snap. So really, really undervalued player, in my opinion.
Give us another name that you're waiting to kind of break onto the scene that maybe we haven't heard about.
That's a good one. Well, let's go to the defensive. Let's stay on the defensive side of the ball and tell you about a young man named Reed Carrico.
Okay.
Reed Carrico is a transfer linebacker from Ohio State. The young man was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school out of Ohio. Barely saw the field, if at all, at Ohio State in 3 years, maybe 2. Transfers to West Virginia. He's not a starter, but he's been, I think when you look at PFF grades, he's been the second highest graded on the team at the linebacker spot, and he's been the highest graded linebacker as far as pass coverage goes. So he's playing good football. Now, unfortunately, he missed the Kansas game with what they call an upper body injury. I think it was a concussion based on the way they described it. But and he's back this week. So that's a name that a lot of Oklahoma State fans may not be familiar with.
Fair play. Well, I will give you the same. I've been very underwhelmed with the defensive line this season, but somebody eventually has got to have a big day. Keep an eye on number 99, Amon Oates. The dude does have a relentless motor, and he came from the JUCO route, and he's just taking a little bit of time to go through the body by glass system and kind of get up to speed. He seems to be maybe kind of, finding that next gear that is necessary. And you mentioned Nick Martin. I don't know, man. I mean, they're being very, very hush-hush about it, which can sometimes be a good thing. It can be a bad thing. I'm a little reserved about getting super pumped. So we need to talk about Stillwater High School linebacker Gabe Brown coming into the program for a couple of years now. I thought he was just going to be kind of a piece, like a special team style guy, but he's actually been able to climb up the depth chart and make a little bit of a name for himself. As work ethic and attitude is everything that you want in the Cowboy locker room. And then, from a wide receiver perspective, I think you probably know, but Talon Shetford, man, that dude can take the top off of a defense, and you've seen what Deshaun Stribling can do. You're very familiar with Brendan Presley.
You guys like 50 years old, isn't he?
Who? Brendan Presley? You're thinking Alan Bowman.
No, all right. It just seems like it does feel like he's been there a long time, though.
Yeah, I think he's a 5th-year guy.
Yeah.
But he'll be out of here for too long. And then I think we're going to have somebody step up in the back end of the defense. We've been hearing a lot about true freshman Lando Cleveland. And so I wouldn't be too surprised if we see number 14 running around there, because athletically, he was a high 4-star, had offers from Bama and Oregon and Texas, chose Oklahoma State, and looks like he's going to get an opportunity to play kind of early. So those are going to be some of the breakout players, I think, on both sides of the ball to kind of pay attention to. And then we're about to jump into some of just the overall expectations of the trip to Stillwater, America from Mountaineer Nation and what you guys are kind of anticipating for this thing before we hit some Big 12 picks. Before we do that, if you're looking to get tickets, there are still some possibly available, but only if you have the best in the land to get tickets. It's game time for you to get game time tickets downloaded on your phone today. Whenever you're trying to get your travel and your rentals and your hotels and all that squared away, the last thing you want to do is add the stress of tickets. Game Time Tickets is going to have you covered. They have this fun little feature called the Game Time Pick. It's going to filter out all the crazy stuff and show you the incredible deals on great seats before you have to research thousands and thousands of other places and try to look at thousands of tickets. It's unnecessary. Game Time has you covered. The all-in pricing means that you're going to know the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. The Seat View gives you a panoramic view from the seat in the app before you purchase, so there's no craziness of getting put in the wrong section. The lowest price guarantee also means that Game Time will credit you back 110% of the difference if you find a better deal, because it likely is not going to happen, Captain. Make sure you take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account. Redeem that code. LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today because you already know what it is. It is game time. All right, Couz, we're going to shift gears here and just give us I think you've already given us a little bit of a synopsis on what Mountaineer Nation is feeling. There seems to be a little bit of trepidation as you're heading into Stillwater, America. Why do you think that this game boils down to it being pretty close at the end?
Because of what you said earlier, you got, you look at West Virginia where they might be weak, and then all of a sudden, Oklahoma State might be weak in the area on the other side, and vice versa. I mean, it just the teams seem to be evenly matched in a lot of ways, and in this conference as a whole is pretty much evenly matched. I mean, it's hard to look down this conference and see one team that sticks out as head and shoulders above everybody else. The one thing
I said the other day, this conference is more bipolar than my ex, and I wish I was kidding. Right? Happy, unhappy, hot, cold.
Yeah.
Want to go watch a movie to catching frying pans upside the head. That's what watching the Big 12 conference is in general. You don't know what you're going to get. Life is like a box of Big 12 chocolates, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of like, sounds like the life of a West Virginia fan, but anyway, but you're right. That's the way the conference is this year. It's drunk, as I like to say.
There you go.
But yeah, it's, I don't know, man. It's going to be a tight game, I think. And Neal Brown, to be honest with you, the way he coaches games with the expectation that they're going to be tight, and he kind of prepares for that. And he says all the time in press conferences, we've got our games are going to come down to who wins in the fourth quarter. Every game we play is going to be close. We've got to win in the margins and make enough plays to win in the fourth quarter. I mean, he says that all the time because I think he realizes that this team's not built to blow people out, right? So if you're going to win, you've got to win in the margins. You've got to pay attention to detail. You've got to be good at the little things. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. And it just, so it's going to be a really tight game, man. And it's going to be exciting. Should be a good time.
Well, the little things and big plays have been our Achilles heel for the most part this season. And as much as I would love to hoot and holler and grandstand about how the Cowboys are going to get right, I don't have a lot of faith in this offense. It really chaps my hide to get to the point, but I'll throw a prediction out. I'm going to reluctantly say 28-24 West Virginia. So go ahead and give me your prediction.
See, I'm expecting it to be high. I'm expecting to be higher scoring than that. I actually said
it better
38.
not be. We can't score real good, man.
Well, I actually said 38-34 Oklahoma State.
Okay. See, this is good. I like the dichotomy we have going on here. And then whenever you look at the Big 12 picture, right, there's not a lot of very instrumental games to the conference title race this weekend, which I do think puts a bigger spotlight on this game, Oklahoma State, West Virginia. Because we take a look at the Big 12 slate, again, it's not murderer's row. I think the UCF game is going to be pretty exciting. And it, of course, will be big for the Big 12. UCF can pull that off. But first, you have, Houston, TCU, Baylor, Iowa State, KU, Arizona State, Texas Tech, and Arizona. There's just not a lot that's going to provide a massive degree of separation this weekend unless you're like Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and Arizona State, right? And to some degree, Arizona. Like, those are the teams that could find themselves at the bottom of the cellar without the opportunity to climb back out if this game, doesn't go well. So before we get to some of the predictions,
right?
Do you think the spotlight being on this game for that do or die moment is warranted, or do you think the Big 12 is still crazy enough that the loser of this still can stay alive in the Big 12 hunt?
I don't think it's. I think it's a must-win game for both teams, to be honest. Because when you look at Oklahoma State, you start out 0-3 in the league. Man, that is a steep hill to climb, right? A very steep hill to climb. Matter of fact, I'm not sure you make it to the conference title game with 3 losses on your record. I just don't. I don't think you do. The way this conference is, and then on the other side of the coin, you've got West Virginia. Yes, it might be their first conference loss, but their next 3 games are Iowa State, Kansas State, Arizona. So you can't afford to lose this one because the chances of West Virginia winning all 4 of those games are slim to none, right? So you better win this one against a team that, on paper at least, you probably should be able to beat, right?
Yeah, no.
So, Oklahoma State's a 3-point favorite at home, so it's an even game essentially.
Yes.
Right. So you should be able to win it. So win it, because if you don't, I'm not sure you can beat Iowa State, and I'm not sure you can beat Kansas State, and then traveling out west to Arizona is not going to be easy. So that's why I think even though West Virginia can lose and still the record still be, they could technically still be in the running. Man, it would be a tough battle when you better not drop games to teams that are. I mean, Iowa State's going to be ranked when they come to Morgantown next week, more than likely. So
I would agree with that completely. Okay, so as it pertains to them, right? You just said they're gonna be ranked. They're already right there approaching that top 15 range. I don't see. I mean, Baylor might be able to keep it close, but it's in Ames, and I think Iowa State's going to be too much. So I think they're definitely going to be ranked whenever you guys are playing them, and they'll likely be a top 14 ball club. Do you agree, or you think Baylor's got an opportunity here to get this thing done?
I mean, I think Baylor can keep it close, but I don't think Iowa State's necessarily built for blowouts. I mean, they're going to play really good, stout defense, stingy defense, and they're going to probably want to, maybe run the ball a little bit with Abu Sama and let Rocco Beck throw it a little. They'll be balanced on offense, but they're not. I don't think they're built to blow people out. So I think it'll be. I don't think it's going to be a 21-point game, but I do look for Iowa State to win and be somewhat dominant. In the game, I don't think it'll ever be in question.
Well, what do you think about your former fearless leader, Dana Holgerson, being up in the booth to help TCU take on his old Houston Couz? I think TCU is just too much, man.
Is he going to be? Is he in the booth? Really?
I don't know if he's in the booth.
Oh.
It sounded good. He's an analyst there.
I
assume he'll be up there.
Yeah, I knew he was. That's TCU's going to. I mean, Houston just can't score. I mean, their offense is atrocious.
They had one decent game against OU and nothing since.
Yeah, and TCU's defense isn't very good, and TCU's struggling to run the ball, but they're putting up a lot of yards and a lot of points in the pass game, so they're going to score some points. Houston's defense is not bad,
right?
But TCU's going to be able to score, and Houston's not. So I look for TCU to win that one fairly handily, to be honest with you.
Fair play. All right, what do you got? Rock Chalk getting a Big 12 W, or do you think they go into Tempe and catch a loss? I keep saying KU's going to get right, but I'm tired of saying it because they ain't getting right. So I'm going to go with the Sun Devils here. What do you got after
if they want to get right, they need to go to State College and get their OC back.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Arizona State, obviously. Arizona State, and that, like I said, I think Kenny Dillingham's got something cooking there, man. I like what he's doing. I like his recruiting. I've got, they're 3-1 right now and doing much better than most people thought, even myself included. I like, Scatterboo there at tailback. I think he'll be able to run the ball a little bit in this game. So I like Arizona State in this one.
All right. Then we got Taco Recum Tech at Arizona. I swallowed a frog. All right. So you're going to have to carry this home at the end here, but I'll just say it. I've got Taco Recum Tech in the upset.
I like it. I agree with you. And here's why. They're going to be able to put up a bunch of points, right? That offense at Texas Tech is something else. But, you got Taj Brooks back there carrying the rock. I don't think Arizona will be able to stop him. And I think Tech's going to dominate that. So now I do think Arizona will be able to score as well, but I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Texas Tech and that high-powered offense there. So I also like Texas Tech in this one.
And then the fun one. All right, the fun one, UCF, Florida. I'm going to let my Big 12 homer kick in here, and I'm going to pick UCF. Not only because, they're Big 12 and they're taking on an SEC ball club, but I think also they have a running game that can control the clock more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Colorado offensively did some things that obviously were pressing UCF. I don't think Florida is going to be able to offensively press like that.
Nope.
And if UCF is able to control the game, I think they win the game. What say you, sir?
I agree 100%, man. I agree 100%. I like UCF here. Florida's just struggling right now. Obviously Napier being on the hot seat, feeling the pressure there. Are the players checked out? Are they fully in this thing? And let's be honest here. UCF's going to want this game bad.
Yeah.
Is Florida going to reciprocate that same level of intensity? And I'm not saying Florida's players are giving up. I don't want it to sound that way, but there's just a level. You know what I'm saying? There's levels to this thing.
100%.
And I think UCF's going to want it more. And I think they go into Gainesville and get a win over the Gators, man.
I love that it's in Gainesville too. Yeah,
the chomp will be.
Well, brother man, it sounds like this is going to be an interesting game. I agree with you. It's kind of a do or die scenario because one team keeps their hopes alive to play for a Big 12 title, while the other team kind of transitions to just bowl eligibility would be really, really nice. So I think that a lot rides on this game.
Absolutely.
And the Gundy versus Neal Brown Bowl, I do not want to give West Virginia the satisfaction of Neal Brown winning against Stillwater and maybe it helping his job. But here's the deal, man. Maybe West Virginia country hopes that Neal Brown doesn't win this game to help secure his job. I don't know.
There are a few fans who say that, but I can't. I don't have it in my DNA to root against my team, man. I can't do it.
Billy Napier, the next coach in Morgantown. You heard it from Couz first.
Oh, geez. Lord have mercy. Don't start that rumor.
All right, buddy. Hey, man, it's a pleasure as always.
Absolutely.
I could do a show with you every daggone week, but I can't. And you are the king of podcasting in West Virginia. So let the fine folks out here know what you got rock and rolling, how they can track you down and watch your stuff, brother.
Absolutely. I'm on YouTube at Couz's Corner. And for those of you listening, it's spelled COUZ''S Corner. I cover the West Virginia Mountaineers football team. I cover the Big 12 some, and I cover conference realignment. I do a lot about conference realignment. That's kind of how I started my channel, actually. So, and then you find me on X at Couz206. You want to interact with me, and I have a website too that you can come check me out if you want to drop me an email at Couz'sCorner.com.
My guy, dude, I appreciate you as always. Hopefully, I'm sending you some positive texts throughout the course of the game. Hopefully, they're not drunk-induced texts, but I don't know, man. We'll see how it goes.
Yep. Hey, man, this has been a blast. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. All right, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
And for everybody else out here, I reckon that's all we're going to have for this one. As always, I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike if you don't. That's okay, too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcast people out there, you're the bricks, the bread, the butter, the fondue, the fountain. You're all of it, right? You're the glue and stuff. Do what you do. Hit the stars, leave a review. That's all. Later, my taters.